dangerous thing because the truth is the core of everything, everything. But there are people who see the truth as a huge threat because
Yeah.
what that truth does, it brings more questions, right? And people that want control don't want others questioning. They don't want others finding out. There's forbidden knowledge. Let's just put it to you this way. And there's people that have access to forbidden knowledge, and that gives them a decided edge over people who don't.
Yeah.
And so don't want people knowing the truth. They want people being in the dark. And in essentially kind of like H.L.'s Time Machine, the Eloi and the Morlocks and the underground dwellers ultimately in within the story of H.G. Wells' Time Machine, the underground dwellers were people who were more technologically based during the course of evolution, of human evolution. So, they went underground for whatever reason. I think there were numerous time periods within the storyline, and some of those time periods were times of existential crisis. So they stayed underground. But what they had to do was they had to farm their cousins, the Eloi,
Yeah.
for food.
Oh man. Well, it kind of sounds like Earth today. Look, and we basically have to slave ourselves for food. We used to be self sufficient and no more. Now you spend most of your day slaving somewhere so you can make just enough to not make the bills.
Well, that is true. It is a well-designed feudal system, and unfortunately, within that feudal system, they've designed um, an educational system that you have to placate and you have to jump through all the hoops and you know complete all the tasks that you're given by the educational system in order for you to get the all important degree that allows other people to say, okay, this person's got the mark of approval. And unfortunately, when you do that, you're less of a person when you come out the end of that process than you were when you went in, because you've got to swallow hook, line, and sinker everything they tell you,
Yeah.
and you've got to regurgitate it.
And that's basically what they do. Mainstream media, not even just the mainstream media now. It's like all kinds of media. It's like you got to be so careful what you put into your head. Uh, you know.
Well, absolutely. And here's the other thing. One thing that the military knows. I remember reading a story in Imprimis magazine. It was kind of like a scientist journal back in 1997, and people can still find it online. And the headline reads, "The mind has no firewall." Okay.
Yeah.
And
Don't.
what that really means is there's no way to keep out information. So it's your mind is like silly putty. That once you get an impression from that system outside of you, it has a tendency to stick. And then it begins to sort of go around in your head and it becomes your thinking, it becomes your idea, it becomes your orthodoxy. And once they have imprinted you with their belief system, whatever it may be, it's very hard to get rid of it because you think that's who you are.
That's
And so
right.
they've got you pretty much from the cradle to the grave.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. I mean, and we involve them in every aspect of our life. It's like they're in every aspect of our life. I mean, everything from marriage to even your death, for crying out loud. So, I mean,
Well, it's true.
yeah, from the moment you're born right till you die. It's. I always tell. I used to tell my girlfriend. I used to tell her, I said, well, why involve the government? You know, we don't. We don't. He said it's just a cop out to not get married. But so I used to tell her, why involve the government? But
Well, unfortunately, people need rules.
yeah, they do.
And if you take a look at any of the experiments that are being done in places, there's a place in Europe that is like there's no police, there's no rules, there's no control over selling and buying of drugs and prostitution and all the rest of it. And pretty much it's just an anarchistic, hedonistic world. And but the people are all kind of, intoxicated or stoned all day long, or on drugs. And so basically it's like Pinocchio's Pleasure Island. They just do whatever makes them feel good, but you cannot achieve true productivity, of course, unless you're Elon Musk, who has 13 children now.
Yeah.
But he still lives, I'm sure, by a code of ethics. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
he has a number. I mean, he has one wife that has 5 kids, and I don't know. It'd be pretty hard to be a billionaire and live, a monogamous life. So
Yeah.
he's got a lot of kids, but at the same time, you know what his number one issue is? Brett Baer just did a great interview with him, and the last question he asked him is, "What is it that keeps you up at night?" And Elon sat there for a moment and contemplated. He said, "Well, the world's population is declining. People are not having enough children." Now, if you think about it, that's pretty deep,
It
really.
is.
I mean, of all the things, he says there's a lot of things that, concern me, but the world population, and he's been saying this for years.
It's all by design. I mean, they demasculized the young men.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they want to just play their video games now, and to hell with the women. Yeah, it's
Well, and not only that, but unfortunately, we're talking about the education system. Look at how the left is freaking out as Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, goes in and looks for waste, fraud, and abuse.
oh boy, are they finding it?
Well, but think about this, is that they're freaking out because a lot of that waste, fraud, and abuse has been going to non-governmental organizations that fund a lot of these leftist, crazy communist programs that try to indoctrinate children into transgenderism and tell boys that they have white privilege, and that they should be ashamed of their privilege and all the rest of it. So boys have sort of shrunk away from masculinity. I mean,
Yeah,
the programming has caused them to shy away, to live in the basement, to play the video game, to live in a fantasy world, to not strive for anything.
that's
Yeah,
right.
it's quite frightening, honestly.
It is, and then you see girls. A lot of these young girls, I don't know, they've turned into like some thugs. You see these videos where, I mean, they could fight better than the guys.
It is true.
Yeah,
It is true. But again, radical feminism is about the degradation, as you say, of masculinity.
yeah,
And so they will become, and it is sort of an axiom. It's sort of an undeniable truth of life. You become like what you hate. So if you hate men, you become a man. Look at these butch lesbians. Look at Rosie O'Donnell. What a creature.
oh, I know. Jesus.
Gee.
Yeah, she looks like she should own a funeral parlor. You know.
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, I'll give her credit for one thing. She's the only one that actually left. You
Well,
know.
that is true.
Yeah. So she, had to kill her, but she wanted to make a point, and then it had to kill her that nobody cared.
She kept her house here, though. Look, there's always got to be what do you call it? It's like a lemming. The lemmings follow each other off the cliff. She thought she'd be the first one off the cliff, but guess what? Really, nobody followed her, because guess what? America's becoming better than ever. I don't
That's
care
right.
what you think. If you think that